I get asked all the time, what items should I avoid in my home and what items should I always look for? So today we are going to go through a comprehensive list. And when I say comprehensive, I do not mean it's going to be that long. It's going to be a short video, guys, because we are going to go through items that you will probably regret buying. And this is going to include items that look fantastic. You've probably seen them on Pinterest or beautifully styled Architectural Digest homes, but in reality, they are not going to be good. You are probably going to hate them in a few weeks, if not a few months after use. And before you even come for me in the comments, I am wearing something super glittery. I am literally a bird. I will be attracted to something that's shiny. So comment away. I'm sure you're gonna say whatever you want. To start things off, we are going to go with low profile sofas. This includes the super trendy Togo one. And I know I'm gonna shoot myself in the foot because I have one of the Togo chairs. I love it. I think it's fantastic, but the downside is if you are over the age of 30 and your knees are going below grade when you are sitting on an item, it is going to be quite the challenge to get up and even move. I feel like sometimes I have to roll out of the chair to actually get up comfortably because it is such a low profile. Keep this in mind for any chairs and any sofas that you're buying in your space. When you see these low profile items, they look fantastic. They're greatly styled and they feel really cozy and comfortable because they have that low profile. The downside to this is that one, like I said before, they are super uncomfortable to get out of. And two, your guests are absolutely going to hate you, especially if you have a female guest over or someone in a dress. That chair is completely off limits now because you're going to be like this and it's not cute. Whenever you are looking for a chair profile or a sofa, I typically recommend anywhere between an 18 and a 20 inch at the seated level. That gives you a maintained comfort level to be able to get out of it comfortably. That being said, it is not the most ergonomic for people that will have accessibility issues or if you need assistance to get up. That is the general standard. For example, between that 18 and 20, to contrast the Togo, it's between 13 and 15 inches off the floor, which is a major problem. While we're on the topic of furniture, oversized sectionals and L sectionals are another item that you will probably regret buying. The reason being is there's going to be two factors. If we go with the oversized sofa, you buy them specifically to be catered to the room and space that you have. They are super cozy. If you get one of those ottoman ones and you can lay fully on them without your feet going off, that is like truly the absolute highlight of luxury and coziness. The downside to this is that these are so particular to the space and the size committed to them. If you are not in a permanent space and you have to move, do you think that's really going to fit in the next living room because you've literally built it for this? Same thing with the L sectionals. Because these aren't modular and they come with a left wing or a right wing, you are putting them in a space designed and catered to that room specifically. So if you are moving around and this isn't your permanent home or space, this left or right side may not always work in your next space. So if you are a serial renter or if you're someone that just moves because you don't like your space all the time, having these pieces is going to be a major challenge and also a regret. I always recommend if you are looking for any furniture pieces, especially like a larger sofa, go with a modular sofa, especially if you're living in a rental or a condo or an apartment. These are great because you can add and subtract depending on how much space you actually have. I would hate for you to spend upwards of $20,000, which I know is outrageous, on one of these massive sized sofas. And when you move, you can't actually bring it. Even if you're spending upwards of $5,000 on a sofa, that's a lot of money for most people. And if you cannot bring that furniture piece with you, you're going to be selling it on Facebook Marketplace. And you know how much you're going to get for it? Less than $1,000, because no one likes buying used furniture, especially if it's a soft upholstered piece. This is an item that a lot of people don't think of, but it is the viscose and the synthetic rugs. Rugs generally are pretty expensive to begin with, but if you're not going with a material that is naturally blended, you're going to have a major issue. These visco and synthetic ones are usually really cheaply made, which obviously determines the affordability of them. If you go with one of these viscose ones or printed rugs that are on these synthetic materials, you'll get probably a minimal pile rug. But the challenge with is usually if you get a pattern or something on them, it's literally printed on the surface. The Problem with this is that over time, wear and tear will show and it will actually come off. The other downside with these synthetic rugs is that they are susceptible to sun bleaching a lot more than natural rugs, and they don't clean nearly as well. That being said, if you drop something on a viscose rug, you could rub it off, no problem, no stain. If you drop it on a wool or a cotton rug, you're probably going to have to get it sent out to be cleaned. So keep that in mind for the two alternatives. But the wool or the natural material rug, which is typically cotton or some kind of blend, is so much easier to maintain and softer. These synthetic ones over time feel so cheap, and the other major issue with it is that if you're vacuuming constantly, the fibers actually stick together. So the rug is going to end up looking really clumpy. I don't know if you've ever been to a house where the rug looks super uncomfortable and it just is like one big piece. It's because it's a synthetic one. They will last you maybe a year before they start wearing down and showing all of the tearing, the clumping, and the staining itself. The key difference to look out for when you are looking for a rug is how the pattern is printed or included to be built in. On these synthetic ones, if you move the fibers, you'll be able to see the color on the top separate. That is a big red flag. When you look at a natural fiber rug like jute, cotton, or wool, and you actually move the color around, the color will go all the way to the bottom of the stem of the rug. This is the green flag to look for because it's going to last you so much longer. It's going to be so much more comfortable, and it's actually going to look and feel really good in your space, especially if you're walking on it. Next on the list is any upholstery that has a heavy texture or detail to it. So I'm talking about corduroy and boucle. I have talked about boucle through my ass before on how terrible it is because it is a loose weave fabric. It is going to catch on your zipper. It is going to catch on your ring. It is going to catch on something even if you look at it the wrong way. Check on your friends that have boucle that got it when they started this trend. It is like a flat, matted texture now, especially if they got it in a sofa or a chair that's being used constantly. It's not cute. It's one of those really trendy fabrics that looks fantastic as like an accent chair that's not used often. But if it's one of your maintained regularly or heavily used items, it looks like an absolute disaster. Which leads me to the second point is the corduroy fabric. This is the newest trend that a lot of people are bringing in now. And the major challenge with corduroy is because it has all these grooves and ledges across the upholstery itself, things get caught in it. I'm not talking about your rings getting caught on it and pulling the fabric itself. I'm talking about popcorn, food, dust, every particle in between literally gets trapped in these almost like plushy-like material, which makes it really challenging to clean, and it just holds onto everything, including odors. Like I said before, synthetic materials hold on to odors so much more than actual natural fibers. So if you try cleaning it, it holds onto the stinks and the oils, and they're almost impossible to get rid of. You literally have to replace the item. Whenever you're looking for any type of chair or sofa, always go with a flat, natural finish. This is going to be so much more timeless. You can choose colors if you really want to, if it works well with your space, but choose a flat finish, whether it be a velvet, a cotton, a linen. This is always going to look good in your space, and it's going to make it so much easier to clean and have that timeless aspect. I know I'm going to get some hate for this one because this is literally the Gen Z equivalent of the boomers buying matching furniture sets. It is the matching appliance sets, whether they be in color or have a cool, like fun, quirky detail to them. And yes, I am categorizing smeg within this category. I hate saying the word smeg because it sounds like something that's way worse than it actually is. I do appreciate how cute and retro their appliances are, but I will need you to keep this in mind when you're buying appliances. 1, appliances are an investment. This is something that you're going to be using long term for a very long time, especially with some of the high-end price tags. The major challenge with these colorful appliances is that when they are created, they are built and designed and dipped in color at a very specific color dye lot. That being said, it's very, very, very rare that you will get a color dye lot that is the exact same as a model that you bought years ago. because they have made so many models in between that same color dye lot that they have to make over and over and over again is never the exact same. So if you're one of those people that have OCD like I do and look at something and you can tell the color difference, you're going to notice it. I have seen far too many people buying these really cute, trendy, kitschy appliances in a bright, like fun color. They've got baby blue, they've got yellow, they have every color under the sun, including the Smeg appliances. And if they break down, when you have to replace them, you're gonna have one that's out of place. If that doesn't bother you, then by all means, go all out on these appliances. But if you're spending upwards of $500 on a kettle or a toaster, like the Smeg has for their price point, for their colorways, and it breaks down, you have to buy a new one, don't you expect it to be the same color? It's most likely not going to be. Sometimes they're very close, but I would say 99.5% of the time, there's going to be a major color difference between a new and an old model. Last on this list for the items that you're probably going to regret buying are cheap lighting fixtures and cheap bulbs. I get it. Especially when it comes to the design of your space, lighting is usually an afterthought because you're worried about all of the items that you're using every day, you're interacting with every day, you're sitting on, you're worried about the coziness or how comfortable your bed is. That's where your budget goes. But if you end up purchasing super cheap light fixtures, you're going to notice and you can tell. There is a major difference between having a metal or a brass fixture versus one of those cheap plastic ones that's from a hardware store, especially when it comes to the glass domes or the bulbs themselves. If you get one of those cheap ones from a hardware store, the light diffusion through the glass of these pieces is so uncoordinated, it will give really unflattering shadows, and it doesn't give you an even ambient glow that you would want from one of these pieces specifically. That's why you purchase it, to give it that ambient glow. You're going to get either directional light or it's really just going to look really unflattering. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, visualize the boob lights. Have you ever seen one of those look good in the space? Not only from the actual design perspective of it, but the casted light that it actually gives in the space. It does not look good. Always save budget for lighting. I tell my clients this all the time, and I know it's a challenge because that's always an afterthought, like I said before. But if you cannot afford the budget of the high-end lights at the beginning, at least put the money into the bulbs. This is going to make a world of a difference. It kind of dims down how good a bulb is in a crappy light, but at the same time, it can make up a huge difference. If you have the right Kelvin rating in your space, it can change up how the light and the fixture looks itself. If you get one of those cheap bulb from Dollarama, which is mind-blowing that Dollarama has bulbs. I mean, I get it, everyone's on a budget, but the blue light that those give off, or the yellow light when it says warm light, is so dramatically different that it makes your space look like absolute garbage. If you are going anywhere in a space where you want it to feel cozy, like a living room, a bedroom, or a dining room, I always recommend going with a 2700 Kelvin rating. This is going to give you that warm ambient glow that's not super yellow, but it's not task lighting. If you want brighter light, I would go for a bathroom or even a kitchen space about a 3000 to a 3500. That's gonna give you that most natural daylight that's not too yellow and it's not too blue. It's literally right in the middle of the scale. As soon as you go above a 3500, it gets super blue and it feels and looks very clinical, like you're walking into a hospital. And on the opposite side, if you go anything under a 2700, it is going to look like piss. It is so yellow, it's super unflattering, and it literally ruins the whole vibe of your space. And that's all for today. I feel like I could go on when it comes to items you'll probably regret buying in your space, because I have personally made some of those regrets, and I have seen far too many clients regret their purchases down the line. So if this is something that I should continue as a series, please let me know in the comments. Otherwise, don't forget to like this video. And if you haven't already subscribed, you can also follow me on Instagram and TikTok at Mr. Phoenix Gray for all my daily tips and tricks. And if you're ever second guessing yourself, just ask, what would Design Daddy do? Listen to my advice. Boom.